1970, Hartford, Connecticut. A student nurse named Donna turns 28, and her mother gives her a rag doll. Soft, smiling, red yarn hair. She sits it on her bed. That evening, it is in a chair across the room. Neither of them moved it. Then it happens again. Then it starts turning up in rooms they never carried it into, sitting upright, arms folded, waiting. And then they find the paper. Notes in a child's handwriting on parchment. Neither woman owns parchment. Neither knows where it came from. It says the same two things. Help us. Help Lou. Welcome to the Horror Hub. Today's monster, Annabelle. A medium holds a seance, and the answer comes back almost gentle. Her name is Annabelle Higgins. She was 7 years old. She died on this land long before anybody put a building on it, and she has been alone ever since. She only wants to be loved. They say yes? Of course they say yes. Who says no to that? Then Lou, engaged to Donna's roommate, wakes certain the doll is on his chest. Days later, 7 marks open across his skin and fade inside 2 days, which is when Ed and Lorraine Warren walk into it. Objects that move. Writing out of nowhere. Marks on skin. To Ed Warren, that is not a 7-year-old. That is a sequence. Something wanted permission, and it worked out exactly which story 2 kind young women would say yes to. There was never anything inside the doll. Something stood beside it, holding it up, doing a voice. They took it away, into a glass case, under a sign reading, "Warning, positively, do not open." Plenty of people dispute the Warrens' biggest cases. Also true. Ed Warren did this for 54 years, and everyone who knew Lorraine says she believed every word until the day she died. But nearly everybody has the wrong doll in their head. The Annabelle in that case is a Raggedy Ann. Not porcelain, not cracked. A soft cloth doll with red yarn hair, a triangle nose, 2 black buttons, and a stitched smile that has never once changed. Patented in 1915 and made by the tens of thousands, she was the most ordinary object in the room. The porcelain doll was built for the films because the license to use a real Raggedy Ann never came through. So they made a new one. That is the doll that scares you, and it is barely more than 10 years old. But here's the part I cannot stop turning over. In 1970, the same year Donna was handed that doll, a Japanese engineer called Masahiro Mori wrote the explanation down. He called it the Valley of Eeriness. As a thing becomes more like a person, we like it more, until it gets about 80% of the way there. Then we fall off a cliff. Something almost human does not read as charming. It reads as a threat. A doll sits at the bottom of that valley permanently. Your brain hunts for faces. It finds one in a plug socket, in a car, in burnt toast. It finds this one instantly and gets nothing back. No blink, no breath, nothing behind it. The researchers who went looking for what triggers it found the worst thing is a mismatch, a happy mouth above eyes that do not agree with it, a smile the rest of the face is not doing, which is a description of every Raggedy Ann ever made. A doll that sat in millions of American bedrooms is built, by accident, out of the exact thing that unsettles adults most, and children under about 9 do not feel any of it. That doll was made for people who cannot feel what you feel when you look at it. Last year they took her on tour, the first time she had ever left the case. After the New Orleans stop, people said they had not seen her, and the internet decided inside a day that Annabelle had escaped. She got blamed for a fire. She got blamed for a jailbreak. It stopped only when an investigator filmed himself standing beside her. That is not the 1970s. That is now. A story building itself in public out of a rumor and a shape. And this month she goes on display on a shop street in Salem, Massachusetts. Of course she does. So there is an ordinary answer for every piece of this. The tour is a tour. The rumor was a rumor. The fear is a curve an engineer drew in a magazine nobody read. Except for the paper. Nobody has ever accounted for the paper. Notes in a hand that belonged to neither of them, on paper they said was not in the building, more than once, in a locked apartment. Not the believers, not the skeptics. It's the part of their story nobody has ever taken apart. She is cloth, and yarn, and buttons. She is smiling. She has always been smiling. And if you had been in that apartment in 1970, watching handwriting turn up on paper you did not own, asking for help, you would have picked up the phone too.